Well, didn't we already decide that politics doesn't have any place in cruising? I mean, I thought we decided that, at least here at La Lido Loca. Well, unfortunately, Carnival's had to talk about politics. And well, you'll hear what it's about. Plus, we've been talking about all these cruise companies building brand new cruise ships. Guess how many berths that's going to equal over the next few years? And how many billions of dollars that's going to be in new cruise ships. It's a crazy number. Plus, Norway has backtracked a little bit on what cruise ships it wants to exclude from the Norwegian fjords. Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to La Lido Loca. I am your host, Tony. Welcome to the cruise show. A lot of stuff to talk about. We got some newsy news stuff to talk about, and then we got some, well, of course, we got some controversial stuff to talk about. Might get a little bit political at the end, but not in a political way. Just a commentary on politics and Carnival having to say something. That's pretty interesting. But first, let's talk about what's going on in Norway. There was an initiative in place to make sure that every ship that was going to travel the World Heritage Norwegian fjords would be zero emissions by 2026. And well, that changed at the end of August. I think it was the 27th of August. The officials there came out and said, we still want a lot of ships to be zero emissions by 2026. Particularly ships that are 10,000 gross tons and smaller. I believe that's what it is. Interesting that they want the smaller ships to be zero emissions, but you know who they're cool with until 2032? The big cruise ships. That's right, it's a big day for big cruise ships because we can continue to cruise the Norwegian fjords. How about that? I don't really know if there's a deeper meaning to all of that, but it is seemingly weird to me that the smaller ships would have to comply, but the bigger ships do not. What do we make of that? I don't know. Story number 2, and this is a sad story. There is a cruise ship out there called the Odyssey, and not the Villa V Odyssey, the cruise ship that's waiting to go on a 3-year cruise. Now we're talking about the Seabourn Odyssey. She's been in service for 15 years for Seabourn, and well, her time has come. She just finished her last sailing for Seabourn, and it was her last Alaskan cruise. And now she's being sold off to some cruise line that I don't know that any of us have heard of. I have to pause to even remember what the name is. This lovely cruise ship right here that's brought so many memories for 15 years to people is now going to be sold to Mitsui Ocean Cruises. It's, that's the story of cruise ships. They, usually they got a 20, 30, 40-year run, but they don't always have a 20, 30, 40-year run with the company that brought them. And that's certainly the case. So we pour one out for you, Seabourn Odyssey, as you move on to your next assignment. Now, interestingly, when cruise ships get out of the main fleet, other cruise ships come in, and that equals a lot more berths and a lot more money's worth of cruise ships. I'm going to tell you about that, but first, I need to take a trip to my studio because it's a very exciting day.
New Fragrance Day. I don't know what's happened. I just turned 53 years old, and I've been on this quest to find a personal fragrance that highlights citrus. And fortunately, thanks to the sponsor of today's episode, Scentbird, I've got 3 new fragrances to try. Look at this. They come in the best travel size container for fragrances. It's got a locking mechanism so you don't squirt your cologne all over the place accidentally. But inside this little thing is a vial of fragrance. This here is Steamed Rainbow by DS and Durga, 30-day supply. And you may be saying, well, what does DS and Durga smell like? Well, let me put it on me. So you go to the unlock position, beep, beep, a little bit of a spritz. I can smell the orange right away. Here we go. Steamed Rainbow. You've got orange, you've got violet, you've got a couple other fragrances in there. Oh, this is nice. I got to get this one home to the wife. 2 other fragrances this month. You've got the Blue Atlas Bountiful. And here, check out the citrus on this one. Bergamot and sandalwood. And then also to try this month, I have the Ormond Jane. And you can see the citrus on that is grapefruit and leather. That's an interesting combination. The journey to find your own personal fragrance could be super frustrating, super expensive, but with a service like Scentbird, it doesn't have to be. Every month you get to pick a brand new fragrance. They've got the big end fragrances, Prada, Versace. They've got the independent Skylar, Confessions of a Rebel, and it's only $16.95 to get that 30-day supply. If you'd like to try Scentbird for a discount, use my code LALIDO to get 55% off of your first month. That makes that $16.95, just $8, so 55% off. That's a really great deal. Again, use the promo code LALIDO to get 55% off, or you can scan the QR code. The link will also be in the description. Thank you so much, Scentbird, for sponsoring today's episode.
I'm back. There's nothing better than New Fragrance Day. Am I right? Am I right? All right. The ship nerds over at Cruise Industry News, they compile reports, and they compiled a report of the current run book of new cruise ships, and some interesting data has come out of that report that they put together. According to this report, there will be 176,000 new cruise ship berths by 2032. What is this, 2024? In the next 8 years, they're going to add 170,000 new spots for people to sleep on cruise ships. And think about that. That's taking into account cruise ships that are leaving, cruise ships that are coming. And so that's pretty significant. Now, if you want to put a dollar amount on that, $56 billion with a B, $56 billion of cruise ships to be built in the run book. That's a lot. That's the cruise industry banking that this demand that we're seeing will continue to rise and rise and rise. I think it will. It's pretty exciting, actually. If you think about where we were at a few years ago when we were uncertain whether another ship would ever be built and whether old ships would even set sail, now to see that we've got $56 billion of cruise ships in the pipeline, yeah. How about that? Cruising's back, baby. I haven't said that in a while, but yeah, how about that? So, let me ask you this. Do you have an extra $5? Okay, let me ask you this. Are you cruising to Mexico? Because if the answer to the Mexico question is yes, then the answer to the first question has to be yes also. Cruise lines have come into an agreement with the tourism boards in Mexico that for journeys to Cozumel, it's going to cost cruisers $5 more. They're building a tourism fund to help local communities. And this fund, based on the numbers, will generate anywhere between $20 and $25 million a year, $5 at a time. It's wild. The $5, a lot of times we talk about the incremental price increase. Gratuities go up $1. This could happen. Now we've got a $5 increase for passengers in Cozumel. Doesn't seem like a lot of money, but when you put all that money together, $20 to $25 million, I'm not really sure why we talk about it. It's just going to end up in your cruise price. You're just going to see an increase of your cruise price. But I guess it is good to know that cruising to Mexico just got a little more expensive. Now let's talk a little bit about the controversial. There was a cruise passenger that wrote into Carnival brand ambassador John Heald, and I'll sum it up. Basically, they said, hey, I'm cruising on 9/9. There is the big presidential debate on 9/10. Will you be showing it? We would love for you to show it on the Jumbotron, in a bar, or in our cabin. And Carnival basically responded through John Heald saying, we're not showing it. And so that's essentially it. Whatever language was used, that kind of thing. I just want to leave you guys with that question. In an election year, in this cycle that we're in, should cruise lines try to show things like political debates, at least in the room? Look, this might be a hot take. Again, I got very distinct feelings about politics. I'm not a big fan of politics, but it's something that does tweak a lot of people's brains. If you could show it in the room, I think you should show it in the room. That's my take on it. But I don't think the Jumbotron or other public places. What do you think? Should cruise lines be showing the debate, not showing the debate? If you choose to go on vacation, then you miss out on the politics. Is that the way that they should play it? That's the way they're playing it. I would love to hear your take. Leave a comment below.
Thanks again to Scentbird for sponsoring today's episode. Make sure you hit that link in the description or scan the QR code. Save over 50% off of your subscription today. This is Tony for La Lido Loca, and until the next time, we'll see you on the Lido. Bye.